Hey folks, it's us. Hi, that's Kim on your right.
Hi.
Jennifer on your left. Right here in the middle. Yep. All right, we got samplers. This starts our 4 weeks of samplers. So we've got Kim tonight with some. Well, you said you even unwrapped a couple just for the show. So first scene samplers tonight. Then next week will be Melinda Cole from Merry Wind Farm. And then the 29th, Vicki Jennett. And if you listen to the podcast today, heard from Vicki today, and we are going to be able to be at her house live. So we'll be at the Jennett Museum live on the 29th. And then on October 6th, we'll be with Jean Lee at the attic in the shop there. So a real nice 4-week run here of reproduction samplers. And Kim has, I think we got 15 images tonight. And three of them, she's sent pictures of the back. Yeah. And I'm pretty excited about that because it's pretty cool. So so we'll get this kicked off tonight, and tell your friends to join us each week. Yes, a giveaway tonight. Krista West sent this, Avlia. This is the Thessaly Floral Embroidery Kit, one of her new ones right there. The full kit, cloth, threads, needle, the whole shooting match. So it's the same deal. For you new people, you send an email, Gary at wetalkfiber.com. In the subject line, you put Avlia, nothing else, just the word Avlia. That goes to a special box. In the body of the email, you put your name and address. Then we do a drawing right after the show, and somebody wins that. And it's just for people who watch the show. So after the show is over, we do the drawing, and that's it. So special thing that we do for the people who watch the show. So if you're interested in trying to win the full kit from Avlia Mediterranean Folk Embroidery, the Thessaly Floral Kit, then you do the thing at the top there and you'll be in the drawing. Remind everybody, 18 videos that we did at the EGA National Seminar. So go to, well, you're on the YouTube channel right now. If you go, Beth put them in as so that they're all tied together. Some are in the live show, 3 live shows, and then a bunch of recorded ones. So 18 of them. Spend a little time, put those on the continuous run deal, and enjoy those. All the things we did at the seminar, and then one of them is what's coming up next year. The project's coming up next year, and then I really urge you to watch the one that Natalie Dupuy and I did, where she basically did a judge's routine for 45 minutes on 2 of my projects. I guarantee you will learn some things there that will help your stitching. So look out for that one. So those are all on the YouTube channel. Sunday is Margaret Kinsey, and you're going to want to catch that one too. I recorded that with her tomorrow, but did the research this morning, and wow, some pretty neat stuff. So that is Sunday. Next week, I am planned to be at the Galleria show in St. Charles, so I'll have a video or 2 of that. And then if you listen to the podcast that Jennifer and I did today, I was talking about charting a verse for the Sassafras Sampler that I'm working on, a new verse. And so we were talking, Jennifer pointed out that I might use a computer instead of pencil and paper. But anyway, Ann Mahoney wrote to me this afternoon and said that so note this, if you go to needlepointers with an S.com and or stitchpoint.com, they have tools there where you can type in your verse and it will chart it for you. So needlepointers.com or stitchpoint.com. I did not know this existed, and you can type in your words and it will chart it for you. I've not tried it. Can't speak to how easy it is or hard. I just know that Ann said, and I did look, and the tool does exist. So check that out if you have voices or verses or whatever that that you need to chart. That might just be an easy way to do it. So remind you once again, we're going to get going with Kim here. So these mentions of the drawings and stuff are not going to be done. So remember, if you want in on the drawing, up there, Gary at wetalkfiber.com is your email. Subject line, Avlia, just that word. Don't put anything else in. And then your name and address in the body. got to do it before the end of the show, and then that'll get you in the drawing. And then we have, you can see, got the Sassy Jack Stitchery down at the bottom. That's Kim's store, all online now, working toward being in the Baird House this late fall, painting her brains out. So that's coming up. And then you'll also notice that the live shows that we did at the National Seminar, the UGA National Seminar, Kim sponsored those. We really appreciate that, made that trip possible, helped us to do those 18 videos and bring you as much of the seminars we were able to do. So we appreciate that. That's all we got. Okay, this stuff is all going off the screen now. So make a note of that email address because I'm taking it off because we need the full screen for the pictures. So it's all going away. There. And now I'm going to switch to the iPad to show the pictures, and I'm going to not mute us. This is going to be an exciting moment. Everybody, just deep breath, deep breath. Here it goes. I think we got it. That was impressive.
There we go.
That was just flat impressive. All right, Kim, it's all yours. So we get this first one. I want it.
Okay, so and I don't. It looks like you can't see it all on there because it's such a big one. But oh, there you go. Do you guys have any idea what kind of sampler this is?
No idea.
Like where it hails from? What country do you think?
None whatsoever.
And I would challenge the folks out in the audience too to think about it. Well, here's a hint. It has a giant thistle on it.
So Scotland?
So a lot of people out there right now are screaming Scottish. And they would be right. So this is a really beautiful Scottish sampler, but a very different coloring. And it is honestly one of the favorites in my collection. And it's in its original frame. It's just a really pretty thing. And so it's got that cool squirrel, which is one of the things I love about it. It's got that really big thistle there over that house. And then underneath the house is some stem stitch grass. And that's kind of typical of a Scottish sampler. And what you can't see in the picture.
Well, now you can't see anything because I hit the wrong button. There we go.
That's okay. Just make people, we'll leave them wanting more. What you can't see too well in the picture, in the door of that house, a lot of Scottish samplers have a man in there. This one has what looks like a little lion or something like that. So it's really pretty cool.
It's in the house?
And in the house.
Here, let me
see in the doorway. You see it's a little bit dark in the doorway?
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think we can see it now.
It's the guard dog.
Neat. Yeah. It's kind of gold, and so I think it might be a little lion, but it's in fantastic shape. I just love this one, and I was trying to get the words written down before we got on here because I knew somebody would ask, and the date on it is 1779, and it's Mary Featherston. And I honestly have not done the research on her yet. She's charted, but she's not ready to come out. She'll probably come out next year in 2022. But it says, O child most dear, incline thine ear, and hearken to God's voice, his counsel take, and that will make God's angels. And that's as far as I got. So now I'm going to have to really look at it. To rejoice. And then it's got some initials. So I just love this sampler. It's got all those little birds, and it's got that really cool knot thing in it. The letters up at the top with her name and the year are eyelets. And then the border up at the top is some satin stitch, and the leaves are really kind of cool, and those little flowers that are upside down. It's got like a long stitch in the middle, and then it's actually got the little veins of the leaf coming off. I actually bought this sampler in the UK at Whitney Antiques, and I was there on a Susan Greening Davis tour with her, and I walked right by it and didn't even notice it. She had to call me back, and she said, "Did you see that Scottish sampler back there?" I said, "No," because of its coloring. I just didn't realize it was Scottish, but to me, it's just beautiful. So this is one of my favorites.
That's a Celtic knot there, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's got that cool moth and all in satin stitch, and That bird with the green head is actually kind of spotted. It's kind of neat. It's got little cross stitches in it that make it look spotted. Um, it's really in fabulous shape. It's
Yeah, I
just
was going to
beautiful.
say, for something that old, this thing is really looking good. The colors are even good.
Yeah, yeah. And it hung in the shop for a while, and so some people saw it in the shop.
And this is charted, but sometime next year, huh?
Yeah, we've probably got 20 different samplers charted that were
Oh
just,
my.
you know, yeah, well, so the problem with it is not the charting because, Allie, who just kind of walked in the shop one day and I hired, um,
Oops.
on her next visit, learned how to chart really quickly. It's the picking the colors and matching the colors and
Yeah.
then, getting those done in 3 different thread lines because we usually do it in DMC and then at least one silk, if not two. And so that stuff to get it really close takes time.
Yeah.
And a lot of back and forth. So,
Yeah.
but I hope you guys like this one, Mary Featherstone.
That's a nice one.
She is one of my top 3 samplers that I own. I love her. So I thank Susan Greening Davis for drawing my attention to her because when I saw her, I was like, "Oh, I'll have that."
Yeah. Thanks, Susan Greening Davis, for grabbing you by the ear and saying, "Look here."
Yeah. I'm all about enablers, but and I carried that home in its frame. It came home just like that all the way from the UK.
Oh man, is getting threads getting easier or still a struggle?
It depends on the thread.
Yeah,
There
okay.
are, a couple of there's maybe 1 or 2 manufacturers or dyers that we have trouble with that are waiting on base product, and there's maybe a few colors in some of the silk lines that it's hard to get. A lot of it just comes down to base product being available. It's not really the dyers or the middlemen. It's really getting the base product in. It's the same with linen. The folks that get it dye it quickly and get it sold, but it's just getting it from the manufacturers.
Yeah.
So, but it's better than it was this time last year for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't sound like it's deteriorated, so that's a good thing. Yeah.
No, we're in pretty good shape.
Well, all right, next. Man, there's a lot going on in this thing.
Okay, you could ask me 1,000 questions about this, and I can only answer a few because this is one of the ones that honestly, I've had this one and another one for about 3 weeks. I just hadn't opened them yet because I've been kind of busy. But it's beautiful, isn't it? I mean, it's just stunning. So it's a Freesian. And I can tell you how we can tell. It looks like a Freesian, but if you want to know why I know that, if you look at the border on the top, that border on the top is really similar to the border that's on the sampler that I had from 1699 that I showed you the last time. A very similar S-shaped border, and I think Jacob will be able to tell us exactly where this is from when he sees this video or takes one look at it, because he's just really good with that. But the other one was from the town that he grew up in, Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery, Jacob DeGroff. And so the other one was from his hometown. This one probably is too. It's definitely from Friesland, so it's a Frisian sampler. But I loved it because I love the medallions and I love the greens and the golds. But the ships on this one, I just never seen the ships like that. They're just stunning. And this one has a really beautiful hem stitch. I mean, they all do, but that one is just perfect. I mean, the hem stitch on this one is just beautiful. And, of course, it's got the windmill on it. And I like Dutch samplers. Some of you who've maybe watched some of my little talks before might remember that I said I lived in Holland for a little while. And so I lived in Rotterdam, which is just south of Amsterdam, for my work. And I just love Dutch samplers. I have a few, probably a few too many, but this one is just beautiful, beautiful.
So where's Jake? What town's Jacob from?
I don't remember what he said because,
my husband's from Bodingsveen.
Okay. It's definitely northern Holland because that's where Friesland is.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
He
lived in Emmeloord for 5 years.
Okay. Yeah, it's
So,
beautiful
and
over there. It's always
that's
green.
not northern. It's close to northern Holland, but not quite.
Yeah. And so you
And
see
I
the little
didn't know
people in that
about any
medallion
of
there are really
these.
beautiful.
Yeah, back when I lived there,
'Cause
there wasn't like social media and stuff. So I didn't know about all of this stuff, and I didn't know about a lot of stitch shops or anything when I was living there that I know about now because there's social media, and now I don't live there.
when I went
So
over there, I went to
I
my
missed out.
LNS here and I just bought them out and took a ton of projects over there with me.
Uh,
But
yeah.
so this one will be fun because of all the medallions. It's just a beauty. It's, you know, it's not faded at all. You can tell. And
Yeah.
Gary, you've got a picture of the back of this one too.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Yes. Let's go to that.
Yeah, I like all of the letters with the what do you call that? Illuminated letters with all the
Right.
yeah,
stitching around the
yeah,
outside. I really like that.
I like that too.
Yeah, that it is not faded at all because look, whoops, sorry. I'll be okay in a minute. Yeah, look at how this, there's very little fading at all on that.
Yeah.
You know, and I will tell you, if a band sampler has been stored in a traditional manner, you won't find a lot of fading because they would have been rolled up and put away. Because they're really used to show the stitches and the motifs, and and so they would be rolled up, and especially as old as some of these are, put away in a thread box, and they might come out only when they get framed do they start to get faded, or if they're mishandled. But these two, you'll see another one. The other one's a little bit more faded, but just stunning. This one's in better condition, color wise, than the one that we saw the last time from 1699. And I think this has just got some just stunning motifs. And you'll notice that the black thread of the anchors on those ships kind of bleeds out. And
Yeah.
somebody else, I've been told several times what causes that. It has something to do with the way they dyed the thread, but I can't remember the exact chemical that's in it that causes that. But that's very typical. But this is very minimal fading on these, leaching out into the fabric, into the linen. So
Yeah. Down here at the bottom, carry your threads much?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, there you go. Well, she was a little girl, but
Oh,
you
I
know,
would do the same thing. I do that now, and if I can make it not be seen, I do that. Oh yeah. I'm
Yeah,
lazy.
that's just get it done and get it off my back.
As long as you can't see it from the front, I make sure. But yeah, I do that.
Well, let's check her out.
I'm a bad carrier. Carry stuff.
Actually, where she's carrying the threads, that's a lot of fiddling going on there if you're trying to not carry threads.
Exactly.
You see why she just caved and said, forget it. Look like little
Yep,
crow's feet all through there.
it does.
yeah.
Yeah, I'd be tempted to carry too. Yeah, just get them done. This is really neat. There's just a lot going on in here, isn't there?
Yeah,
Wow.
there is.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
They have no J in the alphabet. There's no J.
That's pretty typical at certain time periods in
Yeah.
certain countries because their language didn't really use a J, so they
But you know
didn't
what
use
is
it. They didn't
so,
put the alphabet.
yeah. But my husband's name is Freesian. It's like, it's Urian, Jurjen. And his mom, and they said it's from like an old Fries name.
They
So
probably spelled it
maybe
with
they used the Y.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Because I know that an I and a J together is a Y. You can substitute an I and a Y for an I and a J in the Dutch language because I studied it. So
That's a good one. Okay, moving on.
yeah, that's cool though. It's pretty.
Okay. This is the other Dutch one that I opened up for you guys. So
First time seen anywhere.
I just really loved how this one had like almost little pages of flowers. And so, what I envisioned was, oh wow, this will be beautiful to stitch, but wouldn't it be beautiful to make a small with a needlework book with these flower pages in it? And so my mind was just spinning, and I looked at this one for a long time before I bought it. because I didn't need it. But I mean, when do you ever need one, right? So, um, so I love this one too for totally different. It's a very different
Ah,
look to it. I mean, you can tell it's Dutch right away when you look at it, but it was just a little bit unusual to me to see just these blocks of these beautiful flowers.
when I first saw that, that's immediately what I thought. I'm not sure I'd stitch the whole thing, but I'd sure take each one of those panels and do something with
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah. I think when we chart it, we'll chart it obviously, but I think the chart will also include an optional small that has a different finish. And you notice, don't miss these little people in these Dutch samplers, because I love these little people. They're just all over these Dutch samplers. If you look, you just see these tiny little people in there. It's just so cool to me.
It'll
You
be
could even
interesting.
stitch them and make a cube because there's 6. You could
Yeah,
stitch each
that'd
one
be
and then sew it
a
together in
great
like a
option
cube
too.
and
Yeah.
rotate it around.
Hmm.
It'll be interesting to see what you do for colors because it looks like this could be very bright colors all the way through.
Yeah, that's the front. Now check out the back too. Well, whenever you get ready, well, you've got a picture of the back of this one too. It's a smidge faded, but not a lot. This is the one I posted to
Oh.
publicize the event. So for those of you who wanted to see, somebody said, "I can't wait to see her beautiful face." I thought that was so sweet. So that this is the one. This is the one I put the back of up.
Yeah, look at those colors,
So it's a
bright.
little bit brighter on the back.
Yeah.
So
Now, is it typical for you to just take them off, take the colors off the back, or what you find some intermediate thing, or what do you?
it depends. It
If I had a
depends.
dollar for
So
every time that was the answer.
yeah, yeah. That was always when I was doing my accounting career. That was the answer too. But, a lot of people are drawn to the more faded antique coloring. And you've got a sampler in here that we'll talk about later that happened with. I tend to try to pull the originals because that's how it was meant to look. And if somebody wants to stitch it with a more muted colorway, we all have a lot of threads. I'm all for it. But when I'm charting and pulling the colors, I spend a lot of time pulling the original colorway off the back.
Hmm.
The only time I won't do it is if I can't really tell what it looks like. Um, and some of them are really surprising, like Christian Henry, that we, highlighted in our soiree last year. It had this really gray looking star on the front, and when you looked at the back, it was purple. And I saw Jacob actually highlight that in one of his Scottish samplers too. And so, of course, I charted it with the purple. So
Yeah.
it was
So
pretty.
would it be way too much work probably to put both colorways in the pattern? Like if you want to do it the
Some
bright way from the back, do this. If you want to do the faded from the front, here's your color.
some people have done that. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
and there is no right or wrong way. It's
Ah,
really
come
just a
on.
matter of
Oh, yeah, but
preference.
just
But
for
I,
the options.
yeah, I don't really have a lot. Like even this one, as faded as it is not much faded. So
No.
if they like the front, they're gonna like the back on this one too. But
Yeah.
we always show a picture of the antique inside the chart somewhere, and sometimes we use the antique on the front if we haven't finished a model. And so, folks can do their thing, but it would take an enormous amount of time, and you know, we don't really do that on a regular
Hmm.
basis. We do some other things that people
Yeah,
find
because
really
it's like
valuable,
double
which we'll
the
talk
work.
about later too. Um, so we'd rather spend our time doing something that makes it easier to stitch rather than just trying to pick a certain person's preference for color. But
Right.
um,
So do the
but
Dutch
I
samplers
understand
have any
that. Yeah.
specialty stitches or
Well, a lot of them
is
have
it pretty much cross
eyelets and
stitch?
satin stitch, and that's really mostly it on the Dutch samplers is eyelets and satin stitch.
Okay.
On this one,
Maybe
I like the.
Bargello sometimes here and there, but I think it's not on the Dutch ones. I don't think I've seen much Bargello.
I like these rich
Maybe
colors
none,
on the
actually. I
back.
take that back.
Mm,
Yeah, pretty at not.
yeah.
Yeah, I like the red. I just like red. The red and the blue together on the back look really good. Well,
Yeah,
all of it,
that's
really.
Think about though how affluent this family must have been to provide these silks. You know, and this linen at this time too. I forget what the date on this one was. Did this one even have a year on it? I'm looking at the antique now. Uh,
I don't know.
I don't see a date on this one. Oh, 1780.
Oh.
That's old.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna say wow. I
Yeah.
mean, it
Yeah.
it looks pretty good.
Sure
So,
does. Yep. Go with wow. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Next one.
Okay, so this one's one that a lot of people have seen, and this is AC. I call it AC Bluebird. Um, this is one that I bought in the UK from Erna Hiscock, and it was on another needlework tour. And um, I, so what you see here is actually the antique, and you can see the selvage lines on it, those blue lines. So it goes edge to edge, it goes selvage. And then it has been laid on top of a hem stitched piece of linen. And Susan actually did this for me, and attached it to that linen as a background. This one, when we got it, was glued to a piece of whiteboard.
Ooh.
And it was awful. I mean, we sat in a hotel room with a hairdryer and a friend of mine, and we very gently got it off of that whiteboard and didn't lose any stitches on it. But you know, we wanted, and she stitched all the way up to the selvage on both sides. So, you know, this was a way to, and you can see there's a tiny bit of damage there. This was a way to display it and see all of the beautiful stitching. And this one is most likely, so it doesn't have a name on it. It does have the initials AC right there. It doesn't have a full name and it doesn't have a year, but I showed it to a picture of it to Carol Humphreys when I was in the UK, at one of the museums, and she was very excited because we were at a Quaker. It was at the Fitzwilliam, and we were at a Quaker. Uh, you know, a display of a lot of Quaker samplers, and she believed that it was an Acworth.
Oh.
And I showed it to the curator at Acworth School because I was over there right after this, and she got really excited because she believed it's an Acworth, and I believe it's an Acworth. But what I think it is, and most people would agree with me, I think it was a teaching sample because it's got so many different medallions on it, and it doesn't have a name. And and so if you look at the medallions, the cool thing about a Quaker, a lot of the medallions you only need half. And so all the way around the border of this one, you see half medallions. And then you see another column inside on the right hand side there of another set of half medallions and another set of half medallions, because that's all you need to make the full motif is just half. And then all through the sampler are spread out letters and numbers. And it's cool because they turn with the sampler. A lot of them do. So if you looked around the border of this and you turned it, you would see the letters are turning too. And they're all little eyelets. And so it's just really, really a beautiful sampler.
So
And
you
this
so
one is
this is
carded.
so you think that this is what the teacher used?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's why it doesn't have a name, because the stitching on this is fabulous, and so is the spatial placement. And if you've looked at a lot of Quakers, the medallion Quakers, what you'll see is the spatial placing is off a little bit because they were little girls. And so they weren't well placed. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
medallions are beautiful, but they're not always a balanced sampler. This one is very well balanced, and the aesthetic appeal of this is extraordinary. I mean, it's just stunning to look at because she placed everything so well. I think this was a teaching sample
Did they
because of
say
those things.
did they say what features suggested it was Acworth?
The motifs,
Okay.
and you know, I mean, it's there were a number of Quaker schools, but you know, these are pretty typical Ackworth motifs.
Hmm. It's an amazing
And
shape.
there's no way to say for sure ever because we don't have provenance on it, but it did come out of the UK, and both of those two people that I mentioned, you're not going to get better,
Yeah.
you know, feedback than from those two folks. So,
There's
but
a
one day when I'm
question. Do
gone,
you think the stitchers counted and so one question, do you think stitchers counted and planned out the placement of the medallions?
not always, but I think this one did.
Right.
I think the little girls sometimes just get them in there and make them work, and that's why you see letters that kind of carry up in. Like sometimes you'll have a verse and you'll see a letter that pops up at the end and just carries up. I've done that myself actually,
Uh-huh.
but because it just didn't fit, but they weren't going to change it. But this one is very nicely balanced, and any white space you see in there is probably not really white space. It's a very light colored thread, like there's a medallion way over on the right that's almost the same color as the linen there. And there's another one down below that's like that. So, um, yeah, she just did a really good job with it. It's, it's, it's one of the more aesthetically pleasing Quaker samplers that I've ever seen. And I've heard other people say that. It's not just because it's mine, because it wasn't mine, 10 years ago. I would still say it, but and this one will go to Acworth school when I'm gone. This one is going back home. So,
Yeah.
and they're very excited about it.
Well, Kathy, thanks for asking that question, because now I'm going to go look at other Quaker samplers and see about the placement of medallions, just to see if they're just kind of thrown down wherever it works. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you look at reproductions, that's what you'll see a lot of time. Not always. Some of them look really nice, but a lot of them you'll notice are kind of wonky on a reproduction. One that's made that looks like a Quaker but is modern will be nicely done because we would
Yeah.
do that if we were designing it. But
Yeah.
so this one's charted and it's called AC Bluebird Quaker and it's out there. We did do it in overdyed cottons, and I will tell you, we did. Susan and I did a chapter class with this, so we released a chapter a month for like however long it took. And a few people in the beginning ordered the silks. We also crossed it over to silks, but very early they all changed their minds and wanted the overdyes because the overdyes give you this antique effect on this one. It's just really pretty.
Oh. Now, yeah, this one's been out. You've had this out for some time now, right? This is
the first one we charted.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So on Kim's site, I'll do a little sales job for you. Under Sassafras Samplers is where you would find these.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you can go to Sassy Jack Stitchery, and just like you can look up, Needlework Press or Queenstown Samplers, you can also pull up Sassafras Samplers, and you'll find our charts out there. We have reproductions and some original designs. So, and we've got PDFs. So this is a picture of the back. So this one is kind of neat, and it looks like it's a divide right there because we took two pictures and put them together. So one had a little bit different.
Oh, did we lose you, Kim?
Have antiques.
Oh,
You can do that. Take some good pictures, get them printed out on big paper, laminate them, put them with your sampler, because people really love to see the backs. And you see that yucky stuff at the bottom? That's glue and paper that we just couldn't get off and we weren't going to risk it. So.
All right, so here's an example we can look at of how you chose the color. Oh no, we don't. We'd have to have the model to see how you did the colors.
This one's pretty close. It's so close, in fact, that some people have changed a couple of colors because it's so, that one that's really light on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
They changed that because it didn't show up on their linen. So it doesn't show up on the antique either, really. So we are very close with this one. But the only way we could get close was to use those overdyed threads. Most of them, all but one, are Gentle Art, and there's 1 week Style Works. And so the only way to get it to look like the antique was to use those, because this one has a lot of fading in and out, but it's still got all of its color. And this one's neat. I will tell you, it's kind of cool because um, I took that bluebird motif off of it and made a pin keep and just stitched the bluebird and put it together with a pin as a pin keep with a back on it and put it in the fair. It was my first time to enter the North Carolina State Fair like 2 years ago, and I won a ribbon. I
Ah,
was like, yes.
there we go. There we go.
So So you can do that with any of these medallions. They make beautiful little gifts of all sorts. So that's the beauty of the Quaker is that you can pull those things out and, you know, make some really beautiful things.
Yeah. Huh. That's now this, this one has been around a while, but I did not know the story about it being a teaching piece. So that adds an extra dimension to it. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's what we think. I mean, there's no way to prove it, but I would bet a lot of money on that.
Yeah. Huh. All right. Next one.
So this is Marianne Frayne, and she's another one that's been published. And the reason I put a few in here that were published is because last time I think a lot of people really loved what they saw and they couldn't get it right then, and so I felt bad. So I've included a few that you can actually put your hands on. But it has a little bit of a sad verse, and it's it's just a reminder that at that point in time, which this one's 1796, death was common and a lot of people died young. And I like to think that when she stitched this, it's a very happy sampler. And she actually lived to be 80 years old. And we have a copy of her tombstone in this sampler. So, I mean, in the booklet for it. So we know exactly what happened to Marianne Frayne. She lived a long, happy life, but she was 8 when she stitched this. And um, the hearts on this one just make it really just gorgeous. And if
All
you're
right.
not in for the whole sampler, we charted one of these flowers, these long, tall flowers, those red ones. You can buy that little chart, I don't know, for like $2 or $3. It's a little card. If you don't want to do the whole sampler, we charted that first just to get it out there for people, and it's available online too. And then the border around it is a strawberry border.
Adam and Eve seem to be somewhat fully clothed. I'm always entertained by the Adam and Eve treatments.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to see there. I like the snake on this one. He's kind of cool. Like if you look at him, he's kind of just kind of stringy looking.
A little emaciated.
Yeah.
Do I have my
But
email on, or is that somebody else?
Hmm?
Nope, not me. Okay. These here with the kind of the baskets, the plaid baskets.
Yeah, those are
yeah, they're
cool.
satin stitch. And so you can see that the basket part underneath is satin stitch too. And I didn't bring her down here, but I think one of her baskets has got a little bit of thread loss on it, but still
Oh,
beautiful, vibrant colors. And this is another one that we didn't really have to. There's not a lot of difference between front and back. I didn't send you the back on this one, but um, we try. She looks like she does on the front.
uh-huh.
There wasn't enough difference to worry about this one. But yeah, how pretty.
Yeah, I'm just going to reading the verse here. Why should I say 'tis yet too soon to seek for heaven or think of death? A flower may fade before 'tis noon, and I this night may. Oh man, that's just. Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's called a morbidity verse, and
Yeah, I
sometimes
would
that turns
say.
people off. Yeah, it turns people off, but when you think about it, just especially young children died a lot. There was no penicillin. You could die of, lots and lots of things. And so a lot of people never made it to adulthood. And that's the other reason you see a lot of concentration on um, religious verses because, that was their hope for the future. So um, that was their comfort as they pondered, mortality. So, although it is a morbidity verse and it's definitely kind of wow, you wouldn't want a little kid thinking about that at 8 years old today necessarily. The sampler's beautiful and so happy, and you can tell that she was a happy little girl with all this pink and all the deers and the hearts, and she lived to be, I don't know if she was happy, but I hope so because she lived a nice long life.
Yep. That's a nice sampler.
Yeah, I like this one. It's really pretty.
Yeah.
It's beautiful stitched. A lot of people have stitched this one, so it is real pretty stitched.
Yep. All right.
Okay. Now, this one, I really wanted to send you a picture of the back, but I couldn't find it quick enough. And this is another Dutch sampler. And the back of this one is crazy. I mean, you commented on the thread carriage on some of those others. That was nothing compared to this one. This one is like Wild West on the back. And it's so bad that when I wanted to buy it and I was in Amsterdam and it was at Martin X Antiques, and he was like, no, Kimberly, you don't want this one. I was like, oh, yes, I do, Martin. He was like, no, look at the back, Kimberly. You don't want this one. I was like, yes, I do. Look at the front, Martin. Look at the front. And so this one has, a temple in the middle of it, but this one has scads of little people. And I don't know why I'm attracted to all these little people, but this one has just tons and tons of little people up at the top and all over it. And then it's got those beautiful ribbon borders on it. I mean, it's just a really pretty sampler.
Boy, they like
and it's my colors.
They like their peacocks with the circled tail feathers. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some satin stitching up there, and it's just a neat one. See those little people there?
Yep,
See the little red skirt on that one, and those other two people on the other side.
On the bench there, yeah.
There's people everywhere. So.
Yeah, and the really tiles too. Dutch tiles have people in them everywhere,
Yeah, they're all over. I need to count and see how many there are, but
oh man, just a riot of color too. Wow.
Yeah, it's a mess on the back though. It really is. Well, and so before I framed it, I had this one in the shop for like a year and a half, and it was when we first opened. And people would come in and they would obsess over what their back looked like. And so I would take the sampler out and show them the front. And they would be like, oh, that's so beautiful. I'll be, yeah, I think so too. And I'd flip it over and they were like, oh, look at the back. I was like, see, you don't have to worry about it as much as you are. If it doesn't affect how it looks on the front and how you're going to frame it, then, you can't obsess over the back. I mean, you want it to be tidy, but you can't obsess over it. But
so have you framed this one so that the back shows so you can show people?
No,
that would be
I didn't.
Funny.
I have a picture of it somewhere I'll print out and put on the back, but that's hard to do, Jennifer.
Is it? I don't know.
And hard to do. I've done a couple of darning samplers that way, and it took a lot of thought to get that to work, but and it makes it heavy.
See, I have no idea. Yeah, well, double glass.
Yeah. So, but this is one of my favorites. I love it because I love that blue-green color on it.
Yeah, Sandy wants to know what year it was done. Have you spotted that in here?
I can't remember if that one has it on there. Let's look up at the top. It's probably on the top. I don't see it. It may not have a year. Oh, there it is. 18, what is it? 18 something? 1817.
Yeah, 1817, yeah.
You got to just love that one little person in a red skirt, though, right?
Yep. Just put them in anywhere, yep. Great stuff. Fill the space, yep. Okay.
Okay, so this one's another one that's published. This is Margaret White, and I love this sampler. This is the antique, and I sent you this picture because it shows the edges of it, and this is framed. I cut the frame out, but you see that we framed it by lacing it to an acid-free backboard, a mat board, and so we when you've got stitching that goes right up to the edge, even if you got these ugly nail holes, it doesn't really distract from the stitching most of the time. If it does, you can put a mat over it, which you saw some like Marianne Frayne that had a mat really close. That's because it had really bad nail holes on it. But this one, we would have lost stitching if we did that. So we just are showing you the nail holes, and you can just see the beauty of the sampler. But this one is really neat. This one was originally in the collection of Lorraine Moots, who is just a wonderful person. She's been published in the Quarterly Sampler, blah blah blah. I forget, Sampler and Antique Needlework Quarterly, um, and she's got just a beautiful collection of samplers. And this was a wedding gift given to me from Susan Greening Davis and a couple of my stitching buddies that we traveled with a lot, and they gave it to me when we were over there visiting Lorraine. It was really neat, but they gave it to me because it's got down at the bottom, it's got some beautiful hearts and tulips and the windmill. And so this is a neat cross between, this is a Scottish sampler, but it's a neat crossover between a Scottish sampler with a lot of Dutch theme in it. So, and then the hearts on it, made it perfect for a little wedding sampler. So I love this one. I love those guys for giving it to me. This was one of the first samplers, if not the first, that Lorraine let free from her collection. She loves them like little children, and I don't blame her. She's got some great children. But
now, which one? What's the name on this one?
Margaret White.
Okay. Because I monkeyed with this in Photoshop to try and bring out the stitching a little more, and this is the best I could do. Just trying to get some contrast in it. So now I want to go see what the reproduction looks like, because it really has some nice elements.
A lot of people have finished this one too, and the little windmill down there is kind of wonky looking, but that's it's kind of cool because she was trying to, you could tell this was a little girl that did it, and that's probably her father, which is a shepherd there. And so it's likely that her mother may have been Dutch and her father was Scottish.
Yeah.
And so maybe she visited Holland and she saw these things, her father could have been Dutch and her mother was Scottish, one of the two. But she's definitely got some heritage coming from both places. But the windmill, a lot of the windmills over there are big, thick windmills. They're not tiny, skinny little things. And they do have stairs going up, and they're like houses almost. And in fact, some of them are so large that they now house restaurants. So it's kind of neat. And I think she was trying to make this look as big as it really is, and it was a struggle. But it's super cute.
That tulip that stands out for me. That's one I'd pull that out and do it by itself. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is rustic linen, so this is a larger weave linen, but just a sweet sampler.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like fairly coarse linen. Yeah. Yep. Okay, I think this is my favorite. This is my favorite of the bunch, I think.
Okay.
Oops.
So, and that is the model, and it's the model because I actually, it kills me to say this, I couldn't put my hands on the antique. I'm not going to say I lost it. It's upstairs. It's rolled up and it's in someplace very, very safe. But in my hurry, I could not find it. And I have to be honest with you, this model is stunning. And this is going to be the cover model for our booklet, which is going to come out this year. This one should come out soon. This was stitched by Debbie Moore here locally, and it's stitched on banding, and it's stitched over one. It's stitched over one. And so she just did an incredible job with it. It is beautiful. Now, this is an example of a sampler that we took the colors from the back because they should be bright like this. And this is one, we gave this away in our newsletter part by part, like a year and a half, 2 years ago. And there was a lot of discussion from the group about a softer colorway, a more muted colorway. And somebody in the group did create one and posted it. And some people stitched it with that. But this is the colorway that we charted it with. And this is what the back looks like. And it is just beautiful. And so there's a spinning monkey. You've got the peacock. You've got the stag. You've got the Lamb of God up above. just like Agnes Day.
Yep.
So this
So
is a
what count of
1741 was when the antique was stitched.
what count of banding? Is it the 25 or 27 or
It's so it's called 27, but it's between 27 and 28.
Oh, okay.
So it would be like stitching
Over
over
one.
52 count. Yeah, 52,
Yeah,
54.
so that's not too terribly tiny.
Okay.
Well,
That's
I
a
mean,
that's
I've
a
done
lot of
over one
solid.
on 40. I've done over one on 40, and I've done over one on 28, and I prefer the 28 for sure.
That snake on that tree is really cool. So, and I don't know how well you can see it, but Debbie did a great job with it. But he's actually layered in colors. Like he's got some kind of bluish and some grayish. He's a really neat looking snake.
Hmm.
Cool.
Adam and Eve look a little wonky, but you know, such is
Yeah.
life.
Adam and Eve are the entertainment in all of these when they show up. I get a kick out of them.
Yeah.
I love, see, now this is for me, these rich colors, that's what is more appealing to me than trying to go faded and old looking.
Well, this one was meant to be rich colors, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I like this. Yep. And so that's on banding that's like, what, 5, 8 inches wide, huh?
yeah, yeah. Now I don't even know if I have any more of that banding. I don't think I do, but you know, the other way you could stitch this is to you can stitch it over 2 or over 1. Like I'm stitching mine over 2, but it's obviously very long over 2. But you can do a hem stitch on the edge. And this original, the antique, actually the selvage was not on the 2 sides. It was selvage to selvage, top and bottom.
Oh,
So it wasn't on a true piece of banding. It was on a width of linen is what they did. So you know, you can definitely do a hem stitch or an unstitch on the edge and make this one just as beautiful as it is on banding.
yeah.
And you don't have to do it over 1, but we use this over 1 for the model because we can get it in the we can get a good picture of it in the booklet. It's so long, you know, it's hard
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, if I pull back here, yeah, you can get a sense of how long it is. It's just
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's close to a yard. Now this
Oh, wow.
originally was stitched reversibly, but we did not, you know, chart it reversibly. That's up to you guys if you want to do
no
that.
way, no
And
way.
so this one will come out kind of right
Mm-mm.
either at the end of this year or early next year. This one will come out, but
Reversibly on this, I just, yeah, no,
Mm.
I don't
I
think so.
wouldn't. I don't
No
know
way.
anybody that has. I mean,
No, I don't have that kind of time in my life. Let alone-
yeah, it would be a lifetime for me. I probably wouldn't get there,
No.
but kudos to Debbie Moore for stitching this one. She's a beauty. She's just
Yeah.
a beauty.
Yep, that's a nice one. All right, Mabel.
Okay. Now for Mabel Tuke, I know I'm taking a lot of time tonight, but I've put some things in here that are really neat. This is the antique. And, you know, Mabel Tuke, we did a class on last year, and she's 1779. Mabel has a really interesting history. And so it's a beautiful sampler. You can tell it was a little girl. She's got that typical alphabet up at the top. It's an English sampler. It's got eyelets. It's got rice stitch. It's got queen stitches in the big flower on the bottom right hand side, the bulb on that, and actually the whole flower, the stem, and everything are queen stitches.
Oh
And
my.
then underneath that is Bargello. And so this was a specialty stitch
Mhm.
class basically that we did. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about Mabel. Mabel will be released for the public. I think she is slotted for November. So early November, Mabel will come out, and she's 1799. Her parents were both. Her family was Quaker, but her parents were 2 of the founders of Acworth School. There were several people involved in founding Acworth School,
Oh.
and Mabel's parents were both involved with founding Acworth School. They also founded another Quaker school. They were part of the tea empire over there, and all this is in the booklet. And this is the model, and this is what I wanted to show you. So I stitched this model. This is on 40 count. Sometimes I know everybody wants to stitch small, but sometimes when you go to a high count linen, you lose the beauty of the specialty stitches. And so this is, you know, most people think I did a pretty good job. I learned to do queen stitches for this sampler. so, so I kind of put myself through the ringer to do it on 40 count. It's really pretty, but I don't think it's as beautiful as the antique because I think that those specialty stitches lose their effect on that higher count linen. You lose them a little bit, no matter how well they're done. And so sometimes when you've got some really beautiful stitches, you should just stitch them big. But anyway, I meant to put that one in the fair this year and didn't get it done. But I want to read you something about Mabel while you look at that. If you don't mind, let me take a minute or two to do it because this is something that that most people haven't heard. I gotta log back into my computer here. I lost.
Well, I'm showing the queen stitches, and yeah, the definition in the original, and then if I flip over to it, it all fills in. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely see how
Yeah.
with specialty stitches, even the Bargello looks better, bigger.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah, and it's not that they're poorly executed on
No,
the
it's just it
40
shows
count.
more.
Just yeah, and so I think you have to think about that sometimes. Like when we were doing when I kicked off the stitch along for Jeanette Douglas's Hollands and Marclot, I really only sold it in a 32 count because I knew with all the specialty stitches in there that if you did it on a different count, you would just lose that impact. And I just didn't want people to spend all that time and, then not have that beauty. Okay, so I'm getting there. I lost my thing. I've got to get back to it. I'm sorry. Sorry.
This was this about 10 by 10 inch? This model?
The model is, yeah, about that.
Okay.
Yeah, 10 by 11. And the antique is definitely bigger.
Yeah.
Significantly bigger. All right, let me find my thing I was at here.
Like the birds, little birds.
Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. So, I found for Mabel, I found an obituary. Um, so it comes from the Annual Monitor, which is so Quakers. It's called a Society of Friends, and when they passed away, at least at this point in time, they wrote up this obituary in these every year they would have one and they would have something about the person. And so the one for Mabel is really pretty neat. And so I haven't shared this with anybody yet. Um, so I wanted to share it with you guys. So let's see. Let me get to the beginning of it here. Mabel Tuke was married in 1804 to John Hipsley of Hull. She first spoke as a minister in our meetings for worship in the year 1810. Her communications were simple, practical in their character, and clear in doctrine. Deeply sensible of the solemn responsibilities attaching to her gift, she was especially careful not to multiply words. Striking natural characteristics with Mabel Hipsley were a strong will, independence of mind, and a certain freshness and directness of thought and expression, which, without religious principle, lends to the disregard of the feelings of others. But coupled with these features was an unfeigned humility and much watchfulness, regulating and modifying her natural disposition, and she exhibited the fruits of the Spirit in her daily life and conversation. These traits in her Christian character and an intense hatred of sin are displayed in the memoranda found among her papers. Oops, I lost my place. Sorry about that. relating to her personal religious experience. So these traits in her Christian character and an intense hatred of sin are displayed in the memoranda found among her papers relating to her personal religious experience. She was permitted to retain the possession of her mental faculties to the end. Though deprived of sight for the last few years of her life, a deprivation peculiarly that's hard for a Southern girl to say. A deprivation peculiarly, whatever, trying to one who shrank from anything like dependence upon others, or adding to their trouble, but which she bore with marked resignation and cheerfulness. Quote unquote, I wish to go as a little child, to have no will of my own, unquote, was a sentiment to which she frequently gave expression in these or similar words. She was able to attend meetings for worship and occasionally to address a few words to her friends till within about 3 weeks of her death. The meeting of ministers and elders, which on account of her and her husband's infirmities was often held at their house, was not many months before her close, brought under very solemn feelings, the name of Jesus being made to appear very precious to those present by a simple and touching address from this dear friend. I have to scroll a little bit. From this dear friend, in which, alluding to her approaching change, she utterly repudiated every trust except that which was based on God's free mercy in Christ Jesus. On the third of fourth month, she was at a meeting for the last time, and on coming down the aisle afterwards, remarked that she thought we might say, Lord, evermore give us this bread, alluding to the privilege she felt it to be to meet in this way, but that she did not repine at being so often prevented, concluding by quoting a line of one of Cowper's hymns, "And every place is hallowed ground." About a week afterwards, she appeared to take cold, but was not supposed to be seriously ill till the 15th, from which time there was much difficulty of speaking and some wandering of mind. On the remark being made to her that she would be glad to meet the dear ones gone before, she replied, Yes, but above all to go to Jesus and to know my sins forgiven. The day before her decease, some nourishment having been offered to her, she said, I do not want that bread, nothing more. Bread of life and water of life, with more that could not be understood. Again, I wish to be going. I desire to wait the Lord's time. During the following restless night, she exclaimed, Come, Lord, come. And in the morning, the 21st, on receiving a message from a dear relation, expressing a belief that she was reposing in the arms of her Savior, she answered, with characteristic humility, I hope so. Shortly after, she said to those at her bedside, Farewell, and after about half an hour's perfect quiet, the purified spirit was most gently released, and her eyes, so long closed upon every earthly object, were, it is undoubtedly believed, permitted to behold the face of her Savior, beyond the reach of the infirmities of age, or of sin, or of suffering, or of sorrow. The heavenly calm that succeeded seemed to preclude, for a time, every feeling but that of thankful rejoicing for one gathered, as a shock corn fully ripe, to her eternal rest. Isn't that amazing to
Wow.
have that on a sampler that we have in our little hands? I mean, I was
Wow.
like, holy cow, you know? Anyway, I read that really quick, but, and I know,
Oh,
you know, outside of what your personal belief systems are, it's amazing to have somebody's obituary from 1779 to go with
yeah.
their sampler. So,
Yeah. Wow. That's quite an accounting. That's amazing. Oh,
yeah, they like took every hour of every day of the last week pretty much, but
yep. Wow.
kind of neat.
Yep. Now, is that in the chart booklet, or is that separate?
Well, it's not in the first printing, but we're getting ready to do the second printing, and we probably will put that in there because it's so amazing. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, to have that, to stitch this and have that in the back of your mind. Wow.
yeah.
Oh.
There's
Ah.
something else that we found about her too. Like her brother, I think it was her brother, made a comment about her that's also recorded in some of these documents about what a precocious little girl she was. And just always the love of the household. He said about her that she was the joy of the household, the joy of the family. So
Oh.
well, that's definitely in this in the first printing too. But it's just neat to find all this history about this person. So
Oh, that is so cool. Wow. Good
sorry to
one.
take so much time with
No,
that, but
no,
I thought
not at
that was
all. No, not at all. That's what we're here for. Yep. All right, gonna move on to the next one then. Oh, that was really good. We should have ended with that, but we got two more. So
So this one's 1761, and this is another one of my favorites. And um, I like this one because of the really cool border on it. And I was trying to remember if we had. I don't think we showed this one the last time. I went through
no,
and looked, and I didn't see it
no.
because I love this one, and it was hanging in my room, which is where I got most of the others from. But it's just got this beautiful, beautiful border that I've just not seen many places. I don't think I've seen it anywhere actually. And the colors are just so neat. But I just love this one. I haven't done any research on the maker yet, but
And this is not
it's a
charted?
delicate, pretty little thing. It is charted, but it's not ready for release yet. I've got to pull the colors and stuff.
Oh, okay, so because I was the reason I asked is one was if you went with this pastel look or if you went with darker colors, but you don't know yet.
Well, I don't know what the back of this one looks like because it came to me in this frame and it's conserved. And so I probably will chart it to the front just because I don't want
Oh,
to take it apart.
yeah, okay.
And it's beautiful
What
on
are
the front. I think it's got pretty good color to it.
Yeah, oh yeah.
what are the stitches on one of the hearts? One of the big hearts. The stitches, the one on the left side. The stitches seem different. Or am I just
Um,
is the computer making it look different?
No, I think you're
those
right.
are rice stitches. Those are rice stitches,
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the texture
which
is
is
different and
unusual to
stuff.
see in a heart. You don't usually see a lot of those in hearts.
Yeah, because the heart on the other
So,
side looks normal, like normal cross stitch.
well, this one's got a lot of eyelets, and of course the rice stitch, and that's yeah, that one's cross stitch, and um, those eyelets are very consistent. Look how beautiful they are.
Yeah, they
They're
are.
all very
Yeah.
consistent, and that's the trick to eyelets. They don't all have to be a certain way in terms of the opening, but they should be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Melanie, now she has to do. Now I love Mabel Tuke even more. Yeah, I think you have to own Mabel Tuke after just hearing the obituary. Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people have stitched her, and this is the first time anybody's heard the obituary. So,
this borders and this one, back to this one, is really when you take a
yeah,
moment to look
neat,
at it,
huh?
it's really cool. Yeah,
I look at this one every night as I'm going to sleep. It's like straight across from, where I lay. So, I love this one.
oh, make thy reconciled face. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I'm not gonna try. Beautiful. I love the
Don't
pastels are
you?
just so nice.
Yeah, and the little flowers there, like they've got whites with a hint of yellow. It's just neat. It was very thoughtful how the colors were put into this one.
Yeah, that's good. Neat. Okay, and then I think we have. Yeah, this is the last
Okay.
one.
So this is one of the belle of the ball. This one's Kezia Turnik, and this is one that I had a little help from my friend Barbara Hudson on. So thank you, Barbara, for that. But we found some really neat history for Kezia. This sampler actually belongs to a friend, and this sampler belongs to Melanie Rainier. And Melanie, thank you for letting us chart it. So this one is charted, and this is the next one to come out, and she's pretty much ready. We've got to tweak a thing or two, and then she'll come out. But when I saw her, I thought that it might be Scottish because of the plaid skirts on the ladies. Um, and then Barbara did some quick research and found her in the UK, but she's in northern England. And then I did some more research and found out some more stuff about her. And let me get to that, and I can tell you a little bit about her. So she was born in 1813 and she died in 1881. So she lived a long life. Um, she had 5 children. And the neat thing about her husband and her owned a farm. And so I tracked through all of the census records that I could find and followed her through there. And they had 88 acres at one point. And then after her husband died, it dropped down to like 76 or something. And that's pretty typical because a lot of people would have to sell land to pay the taxes. the inheritance taxes. And then you see her showing up as head of household. And when she shows up as head of household, she wrote down the name of the farm, which is Millhouse Farm. So you can imagine what I did. I went out and looked up Millhouse Farm, and sure enough, I found it. It's
Oh,
still there. It's a beautiful, stunningly beautiful bed and breakfast now.
oh,
And
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's gorgeous. It's so beautiful. And so I sent those folks a note and I said, hey, do you know the history of your house? And they were like, oh, we'd have to check with the attorney, blah, blah, blah. And so they didn't really know, but I am almost certain that this is the farm that they had. It's in the right area. It would have been the right size at that point in time. It's old enough. It's on the national listing over there. It's another one that I would just bet cold hard cash on it. And if I had the time, and maybe when I go over there, maybe I'll get somebody to look up the deed for it. I didn't really tell these people about the sampler, but I wanted to know what they knew, and they didn't really know anything. But I think they'll be really pleased when they find out that we have a little piece of their history.
that's pretty cool that the thing still exists.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
You can
Oh
go
my gosh,
stay
it's
there.
so pretty, so pretty. But the thing we did with this one, because the whole border on this is over one, and that's intimidating for some of us. And so we charted it just like it is, and then we made another one that has the border over two. And it looks just as beautiful. It's almost the same. It's just got a little bit different stuff in the corners. And so this one will be kind of neat because if you really hate over one, when you buy the chart, you'll also get the over two option for the border, and you will never know that it was meant to be a different way. And so that's what I meant earlier, Jennifer, when I said we do some other things, because that's not the first time we've done that, so we'll try to make it more stitchable rather than, fussing over the colors.
Yeah.
But
Right. Do you know when this one's coming out?
yes, so we've held off all publishing until this one comes out, which is why we haven't published in a while, because I promised Melanie this would be the next one. So I've not done anything until this one comes out. And so yeah, this one should come out late this month, maybe in a week or so, or I think it'll be in a week or so because it's ready. I just have to put that over two border into the file. So, and I wanted to confirm that farm thing, but I don't think I'm going to be able to confirm it. But I'll put a picture in there anyway because I'm almost positive that's it.
Yeah. Pre-order now. Can we do that?
Yeah, but thank you, Melanie, for letting us hold her. We had her for a long time. She was in the shop. She's a beautiful fall sampler. All the colors on her are just beautiful. And we did chart her to the front. So she's not very faded. She looks pretty much the same on the back.
Yeah.
So
it's neat.
Wow.
Just really beautiful. Those flowers are gorgeous on her.
Yeah.
And I think Melanie just happened across this at an auction somewhere, and she brought it right into the shop. She happened to be in town, and she brought it right into the shop, and the whole shop stopped. It was silent. We put this thing on the table, and we were like, "Holy cow!" we were in love. So
that's a good one. That's beautiful. Yay! All
yeah,
right.
it's just really pretty.
Coming up within weeks here. Yay!
Nice. Woo-hoo.
Yep. All right. That was it. Yep. That was it. Wow. What a run. That was fun. Yay.
Yeah, those
We're
are
only
really
15 minutes
pretty.
over.
Yeah. 15 minutes, whatever. Yep. Well, thanks so much. That was really great. Yep.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me. I've enjoyed it.
Plenty of stuff to drool over. We're going to be out of here, so if you got questions, get them in. Well, Melanie's ready to stitch it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I like that Kezia one a lot.
Yep.
It is beautiful. It's a really beautiful sample. It's even prettier in person with all the colors.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent. All right. Thanks, Kim.
Very nice.
That was fun.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, folks.
Yep,
Thanks for joining us.
thanks.
Next Wednesday now, we'll be back with Melinda Cole from Mary Wynn Farm. So join us then. Tell your friends about this series that we got together. As always, this will be available so that you can look at it again and drool over these things. And There we go. Thanks, Kim. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks to
Bye.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.